This is actually the first I've heard of it. This is completely new information for me. I've lived under a rock recently.
This is news to you.
No. Like, it's it sold well, but it's it's the first game by this Korean dev company, so it's it made waves, but it's still kind of, I think it's that cult classic that's going to explode once they have a follow up next couple of years.
I think so. Yeah, it's called Lies of P, which is it's
that one. Okay.
Yes,
I've seen y'all talking about it.
Yeah, it's basically the story of Pinocchio, but what if it was like Bloodborne?
Yeah, what if it was it's not a steampunk, it's what did they call it? It's a clock punk.
Yeah, it's like the Bella something period. It's like the late Victorian era, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, so all like it's like analog steampunk. That's awesome.
Yeah, yes. Like it's really fun, and Pinocchio has like a robo like arm that has attachments and stuff you could put on it.
It's very cool. And the narrative is quite engrossing as well. I find is it kind of finds that balance where it does have a lot of lore similar to the Souls games, but it definitely has a story with that is very understandable by just going through the game normally.
Unlike most Souls games where it's like, did you read all of the item descriptions and also probably watch some videos?
It is a valid way to bring people into your world, especially for a game. But I do find that that it is kind of there's nothing wrong with having all that stuff while also having a more direct story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like, that's why I like Sekiro, because Sekiro, your character wasn't a custom character. It was like a guy, and he had a relationship with characters that we understood, and so it was a direct story, but they still had a whole bunch of lore hidden around that story.
Just less obtrusive.
Yes, I would say so. There is a teaser I didn't get a chance to watch. Apparently, there's like some Netflix Terminator animated show called Terminator Zero.
I also didn't get a chance to look at that. I did see it though.
I've kind of checked out of the Terminator series, but I think I better give the trailer a chance at least.
No, totally. Yeah. Have we started? Is this technically like have we just been going? Does this count?
Have we been recording?
I have been.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Y'all tell me.
Yeah, hello, welcome to the Shuttlecast, everybody. My name is Sal.
I'm Josiah.
And I'm Grace.
That was great.
Look at us, we have different people here today. Isn't that crazy? Everyone must be, oh my goodness. Oh, goodness gracious. Everyone might be wondering, it's been the talk of the town. Who's the fourth person in the opening? Well, here we go.
That's me. I'm just never here. But today I am.
Yeah, because Nathan's off packing or whatever he's doing. Also, we're here to talk about a very special movie that's near and dear to our hearts. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a sec. Josiah, should we talk about the movie that you and me watched with Nathan without Nathan here? Is that rude of us?
It is rude, but unfortunately, this is not personal, Sonny. It's strictly business. So we're gonna have to discuss Longlegs, directed by Oz Perkins, the grandson of the guy who played Norman Bates.
It's not where I was going, but yeah, let's see that first.
Oh, right. In a Violent Nature, yes. No, yeah, we do have to talk about In a Violent Nature first.
Yeah, I'll get that out of the way. So we're gonna be basically telling Grace Grace, have you seen this? What do you know what this is?
No, I'm not.
Do you know what it's about?
I was going to pull up the Wikipedia page and just kind of read while I listen to y'all discuss, but I would love to be taught instead.
So In A Violent Nature is a film that came out, and it's essentially the gimmick of the movie is let's film a slasher movie that's like a very like Jason Voorhees Friday the 13th slasher film, but artistically from the killer's point of view.
Kind of. It's not strictly the killer's point of view. It's like we are a steady cam following the killer on his journey.
So in essence, you might even say you're haunting this killer.
Yeah.
In a way.
In a way.
It's almost like a third person game situation where it's just like perfectly locked behind the killer for like 60% of the movie, I'd say.
Maybe a bit less than that, but that's a pretty good indication of what kind of film you're going to get. The opening is definitely designed to weed out people who aren't there for what it's trying to do, because you will literally be on a nature walk with him for about 5 minutes, and then eventually the movie gives in and cuts, and then he's still walking, but at least you're not trapped in the one shot. So it's definitely designed to be somewhat it's kind of reductive to say art house slasher, but that's essentially what it's going for.
Okay, all right. It doesn't sound bad so far.
What's bad
and you know, the characters who he's stalking, they're all like morons. So it is like seeing it is like seeing half of a cheesy 80s slasher, but what if it's an art house film and we don't get their side of the story? So the killer will be following them, and then it'll jump, and then he's he's still following them, but now they like know all the lore from like a character who's told them what happened the last 2 movies that don't exist, essentially.
Who did this? Help me.
look
And
how loud that one is.
Yeah, that one's so loud. But yeah, so essentially, like, it has all the same kind of tropes of characters getting too close to the body when they have guns and stuff like this. And it is interesting because it really doesn't have any subversion beyond we're going to follow the killer's side explicitly. Until the ending, when it shifts to the final character. And the reason it's so tense is because now that we've shifted to her point of view fully and we're not following the killer, he could be anywhere. So the whole movie is essentially building up to this one kind of sequence where we don't know where he is, and we've known where he is the entire rest of the movie.
Yeah. And you're so used to you're used to like his style of stalking that you know his tricks, which makes it like even worse because now you're looking at every frame of the frame, I guess. Every inch of the frame, wondering like, oh my god, is he right there? Is he right there? I know he could be.
I know this guy by now. He's my friend.
Yeah,
he could be right there.
The last hour with this guy.
And what's strange about the movie is, like, in the beginning of it, the violence is all like off screen or in the distance, and then just out of nowhere,
or even implied. There's like the first kill is like an implied kill. Yeah,
it's completely, you know, out of frame. It's not even like you don't even hear it, and then just out of nowhere, just this extremely graphic kill happens, and you're just like, oh, okay.
That I gotta say. I noticed it. So it's the yoga scene where essentially what happens here, Grace, is that this little lesbian is doing yoga, and he's already drowned her girlfriend after
Bummer.
this sequence where they were like talking. I know, right? Hey, it's not Pride Month anymore, okay?
Yeah, we don't have to be
free game. This probably came out in like January or something.
Pack it up, lesbos. We gotta go.
Come on now.
I'm allowed to say that. I am a lesbian.
Yes. I think last episode I think I called something gay, and I was like, it's okay, actually. You don't understand. I'm actually all right. I know it doesn't sound like it most times, but yeah, there's a sequence where like the two girls are like, one's in the water, one's in the dock, and the killer like enters the lake from the other side and goes under the water, and then like 5 minutes later he pops out and like grabs the girl. But so it's all like very off screen, very in the distance. And for this yoga scene, he like walks up to her and like stabs her in like the back. She turns around very slowly and is like, "What?" It was very, very slow. It was like I was like, "What's happening here?" And then
I did not get so personal with the lesbian.
oh no,
Just curious.
then he like bonks her on the head with another hook, turns her around, punches through her back, grabs the hook, and then like pretzels her head down into her stomach, out her back, and then like she falls off like a cliff and rolls for like 20 minutes.
What the fuck?
It's so out of pocket.
What?
Yeah, it comes out of nowhere because it's out of nowhere because the whole movie had been very non gruesome up to that point. So it's like it's almost like the movie lulls you into a false sense of security, so the kill feels even more gruesome. But yeah, and the interesting thing about it is, I've been kind of thinking on it, like, is the movie supposed to be comedic? Because to me, like the walking does feel like a joke almost. And for some people it's gonna annoy them, but to me it's like the funny kind of annoying, where it's like, oh, you're literally just not letting us you're not letting us leave the current situation. And there's a scene later where they try to do this plan to get the killer, and then this guy just says like, "Johnny, you're not," and then Johnny just turns to the killer and hits him with the axe, and then the final girl is literally staring at them, and he just hits him with the axe like 50 times.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, where he's like, they're hiding from the killer and they're like gonna like circumvent him, and then one of the guys just pops out of the woods and goes, "Hey, you big ugly," and then the killer like almost gets jump scared himself and turns and like insta bashes him in the face with an axe.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm watching the scene that you were so kind to drop for me.
That was very cruel, Sal. Why did you do that?
I listen, Grace, need context. It's insane.
It is.
But imagine before that scene, there's 30 minutes of walking through the woods. It's like steady cam on the back of, like, POV back of the character, and then this happens. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be funny.
It is so actually funny. I don't know that I could make it through this movie without laughing, because I had to switch over to push to talk so that I wouldn't laugh while y'all are trying to tell me about this movie.
It's I don't know if it's supposed to be funny or not. I think sometimes, maybe.
Yeah.
When you were describing it to me, the phrase comedically gruesome came to mind, but watching it play out, I would like to also add the word absurd to that to kind of hit all the notes, because absurdly comedically gruesome is how I feel about this one. Oh my god. Wow.
A gift from Draco's father.
Yeah, so we it was Sal, me, Nathan, and Katie S. We were all watching it together, and it was funny like which parts were comedic, because at the end the classic Texas Chainsaw scene happens where the final girl gets picked up by this woman, and in a normal Texas Chainsaw or slasher movie, like, it would just show them driving away and then she gets away from the killer and that's the ending. But in A Violent Nature, you're stuck in the car for a 10-minute monologue of the woman talking about her brother and like how he was a park ranger and there was a bear that killed some guy or almost killed some guy, and it's not clear if you're trying to figure out, is it a bear, is it this killer? And then you realize like it doesn't matter, because the joke is that she's talking and the final girl is falling asleep due to blood loss.
And also I was falling asleep. I was also kind of like, whoa, okay, because she's just like droning on, and it's like you're stuck at like checkout and a slow day at like a grocery store, and like Meredith won't stop talking.
Yeah,
It's gotta be funny. Surely it must.
Yeah, and then at the end, the lady is like, "Oh, sweetie, you can't fall asleep. I have to patch up your legs." So she pulls over, and then our final girl is like staring at the woods, like, "Oh my god, this is it." And then you're also like, "Oh yeah, wait, he could be like anywhere," because we haven't seen him in like 15 minutes. Because first it was 5 minutes of final girl running through the woods screaming, and it was the tracking shot, but on her. And then it was this car shot where it's like super close up shot, reverse shot of like the final girl and the lady picking her up. And then eventually we get a shot that indicates, no, he was not actually after them. He's at rest again. Everything's fine now. Go back to your drinks.
What a waste.
But it's funny that they spent 10 minutes making you like getting you comfortable and then be like, maybe. It's like Longlegs.
Oh. I'm so angry.
I'm taking damage.
I'm gonna rub chilies into your eyes.
That was great.
So, a review of it of Violent Nature. I think it's a fun movie. I like some of the ideas they went with. I think it should have been like 2.5 hours.
How long was it?
It was an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But we just wanted more walking.
Well, the thing is that like it is kind of odd how, to me, that the film, and maybe it was so that people wouldn't like riot, but I really feel like we never should have left the killers following him. Because there's kind of 2 points where it happens, and there's other stuff where like the director said that there was this like wood cutting scene where he used the killer used a wood cutting machine to like chop a guy's hand off and then chop his head off. And the director was like, yeah, I originally wanted that scene to be like 15 minutes, but then I just didn't commit to it. And I'm like, yeah, I can see how people would just kind of end up being revolted by it and not.
I would have loved it.
But, it's.
I really wish he did that. I wanted the film to be excruciating, and it wasn't.
I'm having a hard time because as someone who has not seen this movie, any commentary I can give is automatically on some level kind of null and void. But when y'all were describing to me the fact that we spend so much time just kind of chilling with this guy, and then at the end, just to kind of shake it up a little bit, we leave him and go back to the victim's point of view, I was like, that's a complete and utter waste.
Yeah.
You told me on your gimmick, and now you're going to take it away at the very end? Come on.
Who would do that? Sorry, I'm just prodding the bear here.
Okay, we'll get there.
Thank you. I wanted the whole film to be strictly that lockdown. This should have been the Birdmen of slasher movies. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
One take, quote unquote.
I think it was well done. I think like as far as like slasher movies, there's this minor quest line I feel with a lot of filmmakers of trying to make slashers interesting again, because the formula has been done literally to death. No pun intended. So on that basis, like I respect that. It was well done enough, but
it was well done enough.
It was well done enough. You could have made the victims more less bad, I guess, but that's kind of the point. So maybe I'm just questioning the goals that it's trying to accomplish. So for that reason, if I'm going on the letterbox scale of like out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it a 3, like a 3 point, not quite a 3.5, a 3.25 maybe. I don't know. Yeah,
we also didn't touch on the acting, like of the our camp counselors or whatever. It was bad. The writing bad. The acting was bad. I think I turned to Josiah really early on, and I was like, man, Pavel Hall season 2 acting over here.
A little bit, yeah. There was some of that for sure.
Not even 3, because 3 is kind of like good sometimes, but it's 2. Like it's not good. No one's given a good performance.
Yeah, it wasn't. You're not there for the acting.
No.
At all.
And oh god, also that campfire shot where like it keeps just dollying around them. I got motion sickness.
Oh, no.
I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. I get it. You rented the dolly for the afternoon. Can we fucking stop?
See, I would have liked it if the dollying was way slower because it's the killer circling them and watching them.
No,
but that
wasn't
wasn't it.
It was crank 2 dolly. It was moving very fast.
Yeah, unfortunate.
I think I gave it a 3, and I put a heart because I think I enjoy what it wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not strongly recommending it to anyone, but it's a solid film. There's a lot of people hating on it, and I don't think like a bunch of the comments of, "Oh, this guy will never be Jason Voorhees." I'm like, I don't think you understand what
we're doing here.
What we're doing here, but yeah, so pretty good.
Speaking of mixing up the slasher genre, though, I'm gonna do a small pivot before we go into Longlegs, just for fun. So, what do you feel about? There's this thing I've read online that I think sounds kind of interesting. I want y'all's intake on this.
Are you culturally appropriating me right now?
I'm from South Carolina. I know it's been almost a decade, but still.
No one's ever really gone.
No one's ever really gone. You never really lose the y'all. It's sort of there forever.
Yeah.
It's a part of you. The South stays with you always.
I'm sorry for interrupting. You can continue.
No, not at all. Please. This is a blessing that you're here and doing this. What do you think about I'm happy you're here. What do you think about the idea of rebooting the Nightmare on Elm Street movies? But Freddy Krueger is a different actor depending on the person viewing him.
You lost me in the first half, but you've brought me in now.
And also, it's Mike Flanagan.
I'm starting to care.
So ironically, this is kind of a weird, deep cut, but the movie that reminds me of, and it was made this way for a different reason, but the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus,
yes,
which was Heath Ledger's last movie, where they had to have other actors come in to finish his scenes, and so they had this really clever thing where each time they entered a new realm, essentially the actor would change. So I think it was Colin Farrell, Johnny Depp, somebody else,
and it's because like all the Out of the Dream stuff Heath Ledger had finished.
Yes.
But he hadn't done the in-dream stuff, so they were able to utilize that to have different actors.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was really interesting.
So I think he's a dream man. He's a figment of your nightmares. So that's totally doable. Whoever's viewing him, so it'd be like the idea of your fear, whatever you fear most. So the only thing I'd say about that is like then. You'd probably alter the design or the presence of Freddy too. You'd have that classic one, but then maybe you'd do some variants of it.
Yeah, I feel like he could always be evolving and changing with the probably the films, and not have it get stale, and also not have to be beholden to a certain actor being the role.
They're trying to get Robert Englund back. Do that kind of nostalgia requel thing.
Nostalgia for the all right.
Yeah, I mean, like it's it worked with Halloween 2018. So they're trying to do that for Nightmare, and they're gonna try to get him back. And honestly, they're probably gonna try to get Heather Langenkamp back and do the same thing, because this whole requel thing of bring back the actors older after we tried rebooting it is a current thing.
Hey, she still got the chops though. She was great in the Midnight Club.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd do wonderfully.
Which, speaking of which, if ever I had a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, it'd have to be directed by Mike Flanagan. Like, I almost would accept nobody else, honestly. Or I mean, Guillermo would also, but he wouldn't probably do it.
Like maybe, but you're probably right.
Yeah. That's a tall order. Sorry, I'm so tall. I have to use my long legs now. See, I transitioned. No one's gonna pick the ball up. Okay, that's about Longlegs.
I just don't want to take Grace's thunder, you know.
Yeah, Grace, do you want to lead us?
Oh God, why don't someone else lead and I'll just talk more frequently? I'm a bad leader.
I'll participate more this time, I promise.
Well, I know I did do the required readings for this one, so.
Yeah, you did. I'm happy you're here instead of Nathan, because I doubt he watched it.
Probably not yet. I know he said he wanted to see it.
That's nice.
I've been so excited about this movie since I saw the initial like promo images drop. And can I just say, having seen it, let's see, I went to the 12:30 showing, so I watched it 7 hours ago.
Oh,
and
this
what
is
a
fresh.
waste of my time. I'm so sad. It wasn't a waste of my time. That's exaggerating. But
That's hot and heavy.
I'm really mad about the way this movie ended.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm very curious to know because I did a podcast last night where we talked extensively about Longlegs, and part of what I came away with was I felt like I was too aligned with my co-host. I wanted to see, because there's been a lot of, this one has also been a little divisive amongst people, and the ending.
Sure.
And the endings, specifically, I think I can understand why. Obviously, complete spoilers for Longlegs. I mean, we already spoiled In a Violent Nature, but that's not really like a big deal.
Yeah, there's no plot twist in A Violent Nature. It's. Have you seen Jason a Jason movie? It's like that, but mounted behind his back. This has like a
serial killer kills people. That's crazy.
What is that? Never mind. I was about to say some bad jokes.
But Longlegs, had a pretty intense ARG marketing campaign.
It did. Should we start with the marketing? Because the marketing, I feel like, colors a lot of the perception. Unfortunately,
I will say that this is not me saying like you can't critique the movie if this is the case. But I do find that a lot of the negative reactions are because this has been being promoted as the scariest movie of the decade, or essentially, I compared it to The Exorcist. Like, that was the same thing with that, where people are passing out at the screenings, and like it's so scary, and so people are going in wanting to see something really horrible, when it's much more about dread than scares.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good episode of. I'm sorry, what was that? Sorry.
It's more of a simmer than a boil.
Yeah, it was a really good episode of True Detective.
That's pretty good correlation. I mean, I think for me, even though I think I like the movie more than you do, Grace, what I will say is that the first 30 minutes are my favorite part of the movie. I think up to where Lee gets the letter. And he was essentially in her house. That scene, and then the very opening were my favorite parts of this.
Yeah, those are really good. So the marketing was bizarre for me because, I really did bill it as like the scariest film of all time, and they had the weird gimmick where they apparently like had a thing monitoring Micah Monroe's like heart rates. Mm-hmm. And apparently, like she spiked to 170 beats per minute when she first saw Longlegs.
Yeah, because she hadn't seen Nick Cage's makeup till it was his final day of shooting, but apparently she hadn't seen it until then.
Yeah, and then that really hyped me up to see him. And then it was like, okay.
Well, there he is.
There he is.
Yep, that's Longlegs.
And even the film in the opening, like when he's like, I have my Longlegs on, and then like it cuts as you're like finally seeing his face and you don't see it, really hyped me up to be like, oh, what is this? What's this look? And it's I mean, it's good. It's just, it's not like I don't know. It's not all that. It's
I'm gonna rub chilies into your eyes.
The marketing, it was a bit hey, at least the film was marketed.
Yes, honestly, a lot of like, I don't know, maybe I'm behind the times, but it seems to me like a lot of the summer scaries don't really get a lot of heat outside of the theater.
Nah, yeah. So I'm happy that a original horror film from a director who like doesn't really pop out bangers, if we're being honest, got like.
Have you seen Oz Perkins' other movies? Because I haven't yet.
I have.
Like, could you speak to those? I'm really interested.
They fucking suck.
Did you see Gretel and Hansel?
No, but I have watched I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. I saw that. Mm-hmm. It was really boring. And then I tried to get into Blackcoat's Daughter and I couldn't.
Okay.
It was also very boring. I was like, it's the other movie again. I'm good. I don't like his work. Longlegs is a incredible improvement from what I've seen before. But
that's not encouraging to Grace, but
Okay, to be fair, I should clarify. I loved everything about this movie until the final scene when I realized that we were stopping. And that this was just where we were, and there was no more answer after that. And we can get to that later. But to be fair, a lot of this movie I do love, but the last scene makes me so mad.
We can get to it now.
Yeah, we're gonna go on a journey here.
So to me, and because this is you can correct me if I'm wrong, because this is my impression, having seen the movie once, a couple days ago. So the thing for me about the ending, what I was initially unsure about is, okay, so Lee's mother destroys her doll. That to me indicates that she's kind of operating outside the plan. But then in the conversation I had on the Fictitious Dark, I was told, no, see, she destroyed the doll so that it would incapacitate Lee so that she could go finish the final piece of the ritual. But then the thing that confuses me is then in that final piece of the ritual, she then tries to kill Lee at the very end. Why didn't she just try to kill her initially? Why bother with the whole doll thing? That's the thing that I have yet to fully come to grips with, I think.
See, I wish I had an answer for you for that.
Yeah. I don't.
I walked out of the theater and I was having this moment where I was like, I feel like I didn't like the way that ended, but maybe this movie is just smarter than me. And after a little while, I'll figure out the ways in which it is outsmarting me and is actually really, really, really good that it ended that way. And the more I've thought about it, the more I've been like, actually, no. What was the movie I just watched about? And I mean, like, big picture, okay? Frequently, as I was watching this movie, to be fair, while I did get really excited with the initial promo images that came out and kind of the ARG type drop for the marketing, I did not follow the marketing beyond that. I watched one trailer for Longlegs, which was, I think, the second trailer that released. And then I didn't watch any more marketing until going to the movie to the theater to see it. So I knew very, very little about what this movie was trying to do or going to do going in. So initially my expectation was like, okay, so this must be like, feels very down to earth. It's a procedural, we're following along this hunt for the serial killer. And then, you kind of hit a point in the movie where you're like, this occult stuff keeps coming up and coming up and coming up. So I guess actually we are dealing with like a legit like movie about demons and Satan. So I'm like, okay, well, let me shift over my expectations. That's fine. What they're trying to do is what they're trying to do. But usually whenever I have a movie that seems to be paying as close of attention as it is to details, visually, symbolically, there's a lot of, kind of moving parts in this plot. While it is a straightforward path we're following, we've got a mystery we're solving, right? So I'm thinking this must be a symbol for something. You think like Hereditary. The demons are about like generational trauma, mental illness that is genetically passed on. Like we are talking about a bigger picture than just, damn, it's kind of fucked up that this shit happened to this family, right? But as I was watching Longlegs, the further we got in, the more and more I was like, I feel like we're not actually talking about something specific. I feel like this is just a story about a fucked up thing that happened.
Yeah.
And I was hopeful. You know, we have like Lee's childhood trauma, this stuff that happened to her that she can't remember. The stuff that happened to her mom. Her mom had to go through these, you know, horrible things and like work for this guy that worked for the devil in order to save her child. You know, like that's crazy. You know, you think like we can get so much out of that. How is this going to wrap up? Like, how are we going to take this, all these different pieces and turn it into like a theme that we are delivering to you, the viewer? You know, maybe we're going to talk about like resolving or how not resolving that can like affect you as a person. But then the end of the movie is just like, yep, and now we're gonna do it again. And it's so crazy. And look, and oh, the mom died. Oh, and the kid has the doll, and the doll is evil. And here Lee's mom is gonna kill Lee. Oh no, Lee had to kill her mom. Lee had to kill her boss. That sucks. That's so fucked up that happened. The end. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what? Why was I here the whole time? It's a beautiful movie. Everyone acted great. The performances were awesome. I was having so much fun. Why are we stopping now? We could go further with this. We could do something more interesting than just have the end be that it's like, yeah, we love Satan and we are going to kill some family for Satan.
Yeah.
Good job, everyone.
The end was like, hey, what if actually the serial killer stuff is Satanism? And now the movie's over.
I think the thing that is missing is we don't know what the ritual was going to accomplish, and if it was simply to accomplish suffering, that we can infer that, but
like,
it wasn't made
Longlegs
clear.
Want to just like elongate his life? Is he doing it just for the fucking thrill of it?
His legs get longer every time.
No. Oh my god. All right, listen. There's a lot to unpack here. Let's keep on Satanism though for a moment. We're gonna get to Longlegs in a bit. We gotta keep the course here. Yeah. So the marketing. So with the Satanism stuff, I did not expect this movie to have Satanism or anything actually supernatural happen at all. And when it started to happen, I was a little I was shocked, but then also pleasantly surprised and excited to see where it was gonna go from here. Because I feel like a lot of stuff kind of maybe will hint at it, but not like go whole hog. And this, at a point, committed to the bit and was like, no, this is basically like, this was a True Detective Criminal Minds episode. But now the last 20 minutes are like a Conjuring movie. And I'm like, okay, these are things I like that could be fun together. The day Longlegs came out, I saw it opening day. I was on Twitter the day after I saw the movie, and someone posted a thing like with Longlegs and I saw The Devil and Immaculate and First Omen. They were like, man, what a great year for satanic horror. And then someone commented like, spoilers, Longlegs has Satanism in it, or is satanic. And then the other person, the original person, was like, oh yeah, like this has been known for months if you've been following the marketing. Yeah,
the ARG does say that, but obviously, I didn't know that going in.
I had no clue. I legit thought, oh cool, I like Silence of the Lambs. This will be fun.
That's exactly. I heard Longlegs compared to Silence of the Lambs yesterday, and I was like, fucking awesome. This sounds like it's gonna be a great movie. And that's why whenever it started to get more and more like Satanism, occult, we're doing stuff with the devil, I was like, all right, we've had a pretty slow build into this stuff. If we're going there, I trust you, let's see where we're going. And then it was like, well, that's it. That's all I have for you. It was Satan the whole time. I'm like, okay.
Who did this?
Yeah, I like it because I like spooky. So the whole movie was kind of interesting with its framing. It reminded me of The Invisible Man by Lee Winnell, and its use of the negative space of the frame.
Right.
And also it reminded me of Mike Flanagan's work, specifically The Haunting of Hill House. My husband and I have a saying called Hill Housing, because in The Haunting of Hill House, it's a haunted mansion. And basically, a cool gimmick that they do in that show is there's like ghosts hiding in like half of the scenes. Like you'll be watching two people having lunch at like the middle of the day, and you look over, and then under the table in the darkness, there's like a little Victorian child staring at you. And you're like, how long has that been there? And how did I not notice it sooner? So because of that, I'm sort of like now very trained to look for things in the background. And this film was definitely leading you to be looking around at all times, which was so.
So you caught the times when Satan was there, then?
Yes, I caught all the Satans.
Cool.
Which was fantastic because I felt like most of the movie didn't have a lot of that until whenever Lee got to her mom's house, which is makes sense because Satan's very got a presence there. But
He lives there.
yeah, he lives there. He lives downstairs. But
Downstairs.
Mr. Downstairs.
Yeah.
But I think what's great is that I think the reason why the film was framed the way it was because of Lee's connection with Satan, basically, because a part of her is in a way like soul to Satan, so she can. The way I interpret it was the reason why she's sort of psychic is because she can sense other evil things. And she's like so constantly aware of that, which is why the film is framing it as if we could always we're always looking behind her very suspiciously, because she's probably also thinking something could be behind me, but she's so used to it and also an FBI agent that she's like, well, I gotta eat my cereal at 2 a.m. I guess.
It was making me so stressed out. The very one thing I really obviously this movie visually is phenomenal.
It's a treat.
We all know. And I loved how paranoid the shots and framing was making me. Every time Lee was in her house after Longlegs got in, right? Every single time I couldn't stop staring at the windows. This bitch never shut her curtains once, and it was driving me crazy because I was like, fucking, it's dark outside, it's light inside, they are looking at you. But what was really fun was that unless Lee was looking around, there wasn't a danger. And I didn't notice that until after I had finished the movie. I'm glad that I didn't, because if I had noticed it while I was watching it, I may not have been as paranoid and immersed and having as much fun. But the movie did really kind of was very open and upfront about telling us when we need to be paranoid because something is happening, because Lee notices every time, and there's that little sound cue.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah. And you would know, something is happening right now. Then you start looking, then that's good. But there was a lot of downtime that I was just stressing myself out for no reason, because I was like, I don't know, she's not paying attention. What if she doesn't know? But she
maybe there was some stuff there though.
It could be.
If you screenshot up the contrast, maybe you'll see something.
My God, yeah.
There was a couple times when I saw the edge of a shadow on the door frame. I'm like, that could just be from something else.
But also it's great because then the whole movie you're sort of training yourself, and then it pays off at the end when stuff finally is actually popping up in the background.
Yeah.
You kind of feel like, oh yeah, I was looking the whole time. Let's go. Thank you. I feel like I'm not an idiot now for looking.
See, I'm a little baby, so whenever that first scene we're in Lee's house, and Longlegs knocks on the door to get her to go outside so he can go in and drop off the note, I noticed that she didn't lock the chain when she was going into the house. And when they showed us the shot of the door as it was getting knocked on, I was laser eye focused, trying so hard to see if the chain had moved. And I don't know if it did or didn't, but in that moment I convinced myself the chain was now locked, that Longlegs was inside the house, locking the chain and then pounding on the door from inside the house. And I was like, I can't do this. This is too scary. But then after that scene, I pretty much didn't get scared after the rest, which is not a complaint for me. I'm a coward, so yeah. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Well, because I don't think this. I mean, it is a horror movie, but it's definitely not on the Conjuring jump scare side of horror.
Yeah.
No, they had a couple jump scares that I thought were really great. They saved them. They were very stingy with them.
They all felt earned, which was good because I hate when they're not earned.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think God, I have some problems with the ending as well that I want to talk about. So early in the movie, Lee figures out that Longlegs is targeting little girls, or I guess does it necessarily have to be a little girl? I'm not sure, but
It always has to be a daughter
because of the
born
doll.
on January 14th.
That's right,
yeah,
because of the doll. So targets little girls born on the 14th. Okay. Once they figure that out, why the fuck? And I'll tell you why in a moment. We all know why. Why the fuck didn't boss FBI guy immediately go, wait, my daughter's birthday is the 14th and it's next week? We all know why. It's because the movie had to happen. Because it had to be a twist.
Yeah, you would think that if he knew Longlegs knew that who Lee was, that maybe he was targeting agents and maybe shouldn't, you know, accept anything.
It's the two-pronged thing of like, A, he knows that Longlegs is targeting young girls that were born on the 14th, and B, Longlegs has targeted an FBI agent working on the case that you work with directly. Why the fuck, other than for plot convenience, did you not immediately say something?
Well, see, what you don't understand is that the devil was already working on him.
Palpatine actually already influenced all the Jedi, so that's why no one could know that Palpatine was actually evil. You see, when Mace Windu and Kit Fisto came to arrest him, Palpatine played a Sith imagery in their minds to make them all die so easily, and they were distracted.
Yeah. Basically.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't know. Because, I mean, but she doesn't give the... and also, the little girl doesn't get the doll till, like, her birthday, and then they're already, like, super possessed.
It just happens, that he actually wasn't possessed. He's actually just like that.
Oh, yeah, he was just waiting for an excuse, actually. Because, like...
You know, it is somewhat nihilistic, because I always find it interesting with possession movies. Like, sometimes you have to be willing, sometimes you know, in this case it seems that it doesn't matter. Once you accept the gift, you are done. Like your whole immediate nuclear family, they're all affected, and you can't avoid it without killing or destroying the doll.
See, because what I thought was the whole movie up until that scene was that, like, it took a few days for the doll to, like, work its way into the family.
Yeah.
But, like, maybe because they were on a time schedule, they were on a time crunch, the doll just worked in the overtime and insta corrupted the family while she was there.
You know, here's what I'll say. I'm fine with not knowing everything about the mechanics of this, but I do agree, you know, even though I'm more accepting of it, maybe, of the very ending, I think when you look at the setup of the final, how shall I call it, sequence, it is somewhat standard. You know, it's I enter a room. Okay, the dad kills the mom. I have to kill him. I have to kill my mom. Try to kill the doll. The little girl might still be influenced. It's not clear if I'm out of ammo or if there's something going on that's preventing me. You know, it's and especially because you have you know, it is kind of funny because this movie does pretty much tell you everything straight up. Like, they have like a 20, you know, not 20 minute, but a 5-minute exposition scene by Lee's mother about, like, what's going on.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I appreciated that, but also made me ask more questions because now I know more, and the logic of the film breaks down. I was waiting for the ending to be Lee shoots the doll, and then we show the doll, like, head blown open. We cut back to Lee, and she's not holding the little girl, she's holding the doll.
Oh, yeah.
And then we cut.
That's interesting. That would have been cool.
I know.
There were so many times this movie that I was expecting Lee to like wake up or have like a oh, and here's me in grounded reality where that thing that just happened didn't just happen. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I thought it was really, really fun. But the final scene, I know we talked earlier about how it's like, well, if you know, don't change your formula, don't change your game right here at the end just for shock value. But I genuinely feel like if we had had a scene like that at the end where we discovered that this thing that just happened, air quotes, did not actually just happen, or happened in a way that is different from what we were shown, if we have Lee become an unreliable narrator, now that we have this material in-universe explanation as to why Lee may no longer be remembering things correctly, or processing things correctly with her doll that is like demonically possessed, having been destroyed. I really feel like the last scene would have been the time to do it and would have satisfied my gripe that I feel like this story just happened. I feel like thematically the ending did disservice to pretty much all of the neighborhoods of like, you know, what are we talking about bigger picture? What is the everyday horror that this horror movie is standing in for to discuss? I feel like that could have been a way to do it, and I would have been very happy with that.
Yeah, it kind of just like happens and then the movie just sort of ends, and I feel like nothing really like more is said. It's just like a cool movie, I guess. That's nice.
I think I know what the movie is saying. The movie, in my opinion, and I did discuss this on the other podcast, in my opinion, this movie is trying to... You notice how they say, like, Hail Satan in the movie, and that, you know, when you look back at something like other horror movies that have used that, I'm not going to name which ones necessarily, but at the time it was scary, and then it became like a meme. It became a joke. Like Satan has become kind of he's lost his teeth in terms of horror in a lot of areas, and so I think the movie was trying to accomplish was essentially make you fear the devil again. That seems to be what its goal is. I don't know. We can discuss it. I don't know how much metaphor there is beyond, you know, evil can come from within as well as without. It can be right next to you, which is, you know, I think the movie is trying to say like, hey, yeah, Satanism, but you know, actually, you know, the devil is pretty scary.
The tagline is "Say your prayers."
Right. I didn't remember that. That's funny. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
See,
I feel like.
Really, well, I'm really not against the fact that the movie is ultimately, like, for lack of better phrasing, air quotes, just a Satan movie. Like, I really don't mind it. It just feels like the way in which we arrived to that conclusion made it lose its teeth. Do you understand what I'm saying? I feel like while the end goal may have been to say, look, isn't this just completely fucking awful? This is the work of Satan. I feel like that ending scene just was very tame. It was, and maybe this was just my experience, but the framing of it, the situation, the scenario, it's stressful, but it felt like I knew exactly what was going to happen. Right. And yet, unlike the rest of the movie, knowing in advance, you know, like, oh, this is probably what's going to happen, I can kind of see where this is going, that was something that made me feel very tense and very apprehensive and made me interested, and having, you know, it heightened my enjoyment of the film. With this last scene, it just felt like it kind of fell flat on its face. Like, it was just like, oh my god, she's gonna go in and they're gonna be the next family and it's gonna happen. And then it was like, yep, you are so correct, and here it's just happening. And I'm like, oh, well, that was... Could it have been like more intense? We had a lot of really intense things happen in this movie. Could it have been like that? Because we've been building up to this very specific point, you know? Can it be scarier?
No, you get like a family's dining room at like 1 p.m. on a Tuesday,
Can I just say I did really like the thing with the mom, the captain's or chief director, whatever, his wife, her like obviously knowing on the inside what is about to happen and how awful it is and how terrifying it is and how she doesn't want it to happen. That moment where she like broke and was like having to touch her throat because her voice was failing because she was so scared. And I was like, that's great. Can we do more? And then they're like, well, we're sending the most interesting characters out of the room to die off screen.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, dude, come on. Give me something here.
I do like how he's like, no, I'll be coming back. You will not be leaving the kitchen.
It was so good.
And then like Lee doesn't try to stop that.
Yeah. It again, I think this comes down to like, you could have a synopsis with the same description, but if the events were organized a little differently, because you don't want to lose that bit with the wife. But if she had gotten there and the wife was already dead, then you remove that kind of little kerfuffle there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do that by having the narrative go away from Lee and focus on her mother for a scene while she's there, like seeing the effect go into them. That might have been a way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, and the movie isn't afraid to show us things that Lee doesn't necessarily know because of the idea that everything that we see as the audience is something that Lee kind of prophetically grasps, right?
Mommy,
due to her
Daddy.
visions or... Oh my god.
That's the best scene of the movie.
It was very good. Unmake me. Yeah.
When's your birthday, little angel?
Dad.
Like Gross Guy is back.
That's amazing. I like how this little creep, and it's actually like a satanic serial killer. That's a good bit.
I think the funniest line in the movie was, he's a Satanist, but that's not a crime. This is the United States of America.
That was fucking hilarious, dude.
Like, he hasn't killed anyone.
He's just practicing their religion.
Yeah, exactly.
Grace, did I cut you off for more ending talk? I'm sorry if I did.
Oh, no, you're good. Also, it's possible, but I no longer remember. So now it's over.
Great.
I will say I would love a poster of just one of the cropped photos of Bill Clinton's face with that specific quote underneath it, kind of like a tagline. He's a Satanist, but it's the United States of America. It's legal.
Yeah, there was some Bill Clinton in there, wasn't there?
The funny thing was that this was amusing to me was we kept getting Bill Clinton, and I knew it was in the past, like the movie was a period piece technically, but I kept going, why is he like so central in the framing? And then I realized, it's because they're really trying to let you know it's a period piece. I was like, oh, okay.
I didn't 100% know. I got a vibe, and then I saw Bill Clinton, and I was like, oh, cool, it's the 90s.
I saw a post that was kind of like insinuating that like the sort of omnipresence of Bill Clinton every time we were at the FBI like offices was in part because there's a lot of like background figures and characters that kind of like exist around and over characters even before we get into like the devil stuff or the Satan stuff. Like Mom's watching a televangelist on her TV in some of the scenes, and we just kind of see his face there in the background. And so they implied that Bill Clinton is like part of us getting trained, I guess, to harken back to what we were talking about earlier, trained to look for these kind of figures and faces in the background. But I like to believe that it's because we are dealing with this idea of kind of the divine. We have demons, we have Satan, we have God, who is not actually really there, and then we have Bill Clinton.
Maybe Bill Clinton is it's the movie's implying something sinister about him.
Well, everyone's got their gods and saviors, so maybe that's Bill Clinton here.
Yes.
I want to talk about something.
Mm-hmm.
Why was the film called Longlegs?
Because the killer's name is Longlegs.
Why was the killer's name Longlegs?
Well, I'll tell you.
Up and that was his name.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. Oz Perkins says there is no meaning. It just sounds creepy.
Yeah.
Is that a direct quote?
That is a direct quote. He said he wanted it to sound like something from the 70s, like a song by Led Zeppelin, since there's so much 70s music and glam rock in this movie.
Wow. It made a promise to me as a viewer that it never delivered on.
But what I will say is, my theory is that, obviously when we think Longlegs, we think Daddy Longlegs. Now, there's no spiders in this movie. There is like snakes. There's stuff like that. There's no spiders. The way I view it, and this is like my headcanon, I think Longlegs isn't really a guy. I think he is the avatar of Satan. I think he is Satan. That's why he doesn't age. And that's why he kills himself, because he'll just begin a different scheme elsewhere. And so the long legs are the devil's legs, essentially, like his spider legs, and different all around the world weaving this web. But that's all I can give you. There's nothing else.
Much like how evangelicals are the hands and feet of Christ, long legs are the masterfully long legs of Satan.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell you, the whole movie was waiting for it to pay off. And it never
have really long legs. What?
Yeah, no, okay, so my theory for a while, I almost said for a long time. So first of all,
my theory for years
I've been thinking about this. Well, first of all, the opening shot, or the opening scene, when he's like, "I'm sorry, I have my long legs on." Cinema. Put that in the fucking, put that in the Louvre. Perfect.
It was good.
Yes.
And so then I'm like, okay. And then they have that kick-ass opening sequence, and I'm like, all right. So really for me, I'm like, okay, well, and also the poster, one of the main posters for this movie is like, there's a shot in the film where they're going through like crime scene photos, and there's like a family, and they're all like sat up, like they're all sitting up back to back to back with like a sheet over them, and they're dead.
Yeah.
And the most prominent figure looks like it's a little girl with like, the pants, and the legs look a bit long. So
yeah, the distortion from the angle,
and that's the poster. I was on Letterboxd it is. So what I thought for a lot of the movie was that literally like he would like lure the girls and like get into their skin. And because like he has to like not, so whenever he's himself, he's using his long legs, but then he has to use his short legs and crawl inside the girls and then corrupt them and the family into murder and then escape, and then now he has his long legs again.
I mean, that's kind of what he says. Like he says, I have my, he says I have my long legs on now, and then he says something about the doll being the dark, being the short legs essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand. Like it affects the whole family, because there's a point in the movie where you're wondering, do the daughters turn evil, and that's why the dad kills her.
Yes.
Well, especially after the conversation with Carrie Ann.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is an element of that, but not as explicit as he's literally getting into them, like you're describing.
Yeah. So that long legs bit is just, he is a cute thing he says to then like kneel down and talk to the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't go beyond that. And I thought the whole movie, I was waiting for the reveal that like, I thought it was gonna be like a revelation, like the Smile Monster, where it was gonna be this horrifying, grotesque like moment of like, I don't know, Nick Cage crawling out of like a body and then like having to like regrow his legs and this gross like as like he's as he's like getting long again. No, it's just a doll, and they just put a evil ball in the doll head.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Nothing inside but pure evil.
Yeah.
And Satan.
Nick Cage just he just makes an evil ball and puts it in a doll. Nothing about it. Nothing about his legs. It just sounded cool.
Yeah, I was surprised he said that in the interview. Because they asked him about does their mechanic behind the dolls, like how they work, and he's like, I do know, but I'm not going to tell you. And I'm like, why didn't you just say that about Longlegs, the name? Like, I'll let you figure that out. Then people wouldn't be using that as like a complaint. So I did find that funny.
Yeah.
My guy has never been to an art critique before. Like, if you made some shit up on the spot and everyone else is talking about how cool it is or how cool it might be,
the worst thing to say.
You let them go at the crumbs forever. It doesn't matter what the truth is. The truth is whatever you decide it is, because that will definitely be more satisfying than me telling you that I made it the fuck up.
Yeah, that's some shit. That's some shit that should come out in like 100 years after he's dead, and his grandkids have like sold his notebooks because they need money, and then we find out actually Longlegs didn't mean anything, but we're all dead, so it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, we should never have known.
Yeah, it feels like to get that particular peek behind the curtain, I should have had to wait a couple years for like 9 or 10 YouTube video essayists to come out with half-hour videos about why their assumption is correct.
Yeah. But now I know that it means nothing, which is great. Kind of the movie. Oz Perkins had another interview that I disliked, and I want to talk about it for a moment, if you don't mind. Can I read a quote?
Read away.
Yeah. Anyone mind? Okay, this is Oz Perkins. I don't know who he's talking to. I don't know which publication, but this is the quote. I wouldn't say I'm someone who likes or dislikes horror movies. I don't see new ones. I have no interest. I'll never see Maxine. I'll never see Pearl. I saw X for reasons. It wasn't on purpose. I don't see contemporary things. They don't interest me at all, and that's not to say they aren't great. I'm sure they are great and make a lot of people happy, which is all that really matters. But I like the horror genre because it's the genre that permits the most invention, and it encourages the most poetry. It's all guessing and grasping at what is essentially unknowable.
But then he said something that's now knowable.
Yes.
It is kind of funny how he mentions like one franchise. He's like, I'm not seeing my contemporary horror movie released around the same time, Maxine, or its prequel. I saw the first one, but I didn't want to. Like it's so weirdly like targeted.
Why did you say that you didn't? It wasn't on purpose. That you saw
it feels like a dig. It feels unintentional, like a dig. Like, yeah, I would have never watched it on purpose. I did put my eyeballs on it, just so you know, just so everyone knows. No one come out and be like, "Oh, I know that Oz did see X." Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. It is kind of funny because it's not like he said. I mean, obviously, if he doesn't watch them, he's not paying attention. But it's not like he says, I'm not going to see Maxine or In a Violent Nature. Right. I mean, again, I didn't love X, but this is like an attack that I wouldn't make.
Yeah, that's a bit strong. Also, like, it's weird to be someone making art in a medium and not like want to be up to date on what your contemporaries are doing, at all. And then, and then to claim that it's a genre all about invention and that's why you like it. And I'm like, but bro, like, the things that you did in your film were already invented. Like, people have done this.
Well, he's drawing on the past. His inspirations are Seven and Silence of the Lambs and The Exorcist, and these are old. They're not contemporary, so he prefers the older horror movies.
But even though you could compare this to a lot of contemporary horror movies that have done similar things. You could.
And
I will.
If he had watched Hereditary, the movie would have been better.
Yeah, maybe. It feels like watching this, he might have watched Hereditary. Probably not.
Probably not.
Again, it has influences from like Invisible Man. It feels a bit like it has some Hill House inspiration. It has like True Detective vibes as well. It feels like a lot of like the framing felt like Invisible Man to a T. It was a little weird. It was a little crazy. I liked it, but to say that he's not watching contemporary stuff it's interesting. Maybe he should. Oz, buddy.
It's also just a very bold choice. I promise this will be the last time I bring up Hereditary, but I really just can't stop thinking about how, while I know plenty of people did not like Hereditary, a lot of the stuff that kind of went into Hereditary, to me, felt like it was accomplishing similar things to what I believe this movie is trying to accomplish, where we are taking this idea of like, oh, demons, Satan, evil, malevolence that, has no name, that, cannot be explained by earthly means. And Hereditary is very much playing in that ballpark. And while a lot of people, like some of my friends included, think the ending of Hereditary is bad, I at least feel like when I watched the ending of Hereditary, I felt like an arc had been resolved, that we had gone through a kind of a story together, and it wasn't just a bunch of stuff that happened. It was resolving the inevitability that this movie has been telling me about for the last 2.5 hours. Whereas with Longlegs, while yes, it did, they spent the last however much time telling me this was going to happen, I didn't feel like what happened warranted all of that buildup. So I don't know, I feel a little, this might be harsh, but I feel a little bit embarrassed for him that he went and said all this stuff in an interview where I'm like, wow, I really wish that you were a little bit different, because I think you would have made a better movie if you had.
You said it's the last time you mentioned Hereditary, but
Don't
just
promise that.
No, just in this podcast. I remember I had issues with the ending, and I'm trying to recall exactly what they were. I think it was, to me, they seem like very similar endings in what they're trying to do and say. But I will say that Hereditary had more. This is an unfair comparison because it's not. But if I compare the relationship between Lee and her mother and the relationship between, certain characters in Hereditary of that family unit, it just feels like that was more thoroughly developed to make the ending more oomph. Because when she shoots her mother when Lee shoots her mother at the end of this, it's sad, but it doesn't. There's not enough time to let that sink in. Maybe
I agree. I think that Hereditary works more for me because I feel like the shift from this is a family drama to oh my god, Satan really works in Hereditary, whereas in Longlegs I'm like, huh?
I think it works in Longlegs. It's just the resolution perhaps was a little under.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
because I think the satanic stuff is established subtly very early. To me it was a natural kind of thing. I did notice some criticism about I understand that she's half psychic, but the cipher it did feel like that was kind of montage through. But if you want a whole movie on ciphers, go watch a much better film, Zodiac.
Go watch Zodiac instead.
That's an easy 5-star film. Easy.
No, I feel like the psychic stuff, I feel like, I guess it's just my interpretation of the movie. I felt like it was because she has a connection to Longlegs / Satan that it was less her actually figuring it out and more like her on the right wavelength with Longlegs.
Oh
no, it makes sense. It totally makes sense.
I think the movie also implies that as someone who has done ciphers before quite miserably, the what I gleaned from that scene was that it was just additional pieces to the key, and as soon as she was able to use the Bible to pull that entire verse, and like go in and look through it, which she knew because of her mom's like whole thing with prayer, you know, her whole life. It was just that she just got why can't I think of what it's called? You know, when you get a little piece of a cipher to give you more letters to work with, so you'd have to do less guesswork.
A hint?
A key?
Yeah, she basically was given a key that she was able to very quickly put together.
A legend.
Yeah, there you go.
No, it's a key. I think.
Whatever.
Yeah, also that bit where the note's like, if you tell anyone, I'm gonna cut your mom's saggy tits off.
I was like, wow, we want a very specific kind of villain in
like,
this
whoa,
movie.
Okay.
I get it.
What if the whole film was in 4x3? That would have been awesome.
I had a buddy who said the exact opposite.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, I'm so glad it wasn't. And I was like, oh.
I'm actually happy it wasn't, because I feel like the extra room lets you feel how paranoid Lee felt.
Yeah. You could have made it claustrophobic, but it felt scarier because it wasn't.
Yeah. Do you think that movie theaters have films be in like a widescreen format so we could have more seats?
Careful, you're veering dangerously close to decoding the capitalistic.
Am I seeing through the Matrix?
Careful. They don't want you to do that.
I was actually in the theater as like the movie turned from 4x3 to widescreen. I was thinking, and I was like, wait a minute, you could fit more people in this theater and have them see more of the movie if it's in widescreen.
No, they would just have added extra tiers, like a football stand.
You're right.
You know?
Yeah, you're right.
You get taller.
That you're right. So that's a good joke from me.
It was very funny. I just set down my Monster Energy, so I couldn't press push to talk to laugh. Very.
Oh, that's why Grace has been going off the handle. There's some enhancement going on. Now,
yo, Monster, what time is it over there? Like 8 p.m.?
It's 8:42.
Jesus fucking Christ,
bro! This happens.
It's okay. Next Tuesday, I have an interview for an overnight position at a new grocery store that just opened. So
you're
really,
pre-gaming.
what I'm doing is a favor for myself.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, really, you're being responsible.
It's true. I gotta go to work.
Well, definitely, it's interesting because I feel like when I was to go back to Longlegs real quick,
real quick.
When I initially saw it, I was thinking like rating wise, 3.5. Then I had the other conversation. I'm like a 4, and then you guys have not, you've raised some things for me to think about with the ending specifically, and I'm hovering at 3.75. I think.
Yeah, I gave it a 4. I'm sticking with a 4. I think it's great. It doesn't quite stick to the ending, and it has some plot stuff, but I mean, it's very well edited, very well shot, and very well acted. I love a lot of things in this movie, which is kind of why I'm so passionately like, because like I wanted to like it even more.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I guess like with what happened with the ending, I'm kind of sitting here and I feel almost like cheated. Like I got tricked into thinking something was more than it was. And so now I'm having this like reactionary feeling where I just want to take back all my love for it. But I feel like after a couple days, I'll get back up to the 4-star territory, and I'll probably sit there. Right now, I'm hovering at a 3.5 in my disappointment that the movie perhaps was, in some ways, writing-wise, just kind of throwing shit at the wall. But that really doesn't take away too much from how, like, visually fun and well put together the acting and the cast and then just the experience of that movie was. Because that was great. It was really good. Really enjoyed my time.
It's really awesome. I know we just talked so much shit, but it is really awesome.
Well, I think it's important to, to be honest and discuss the movie in all its aspects.
Well, and when I really like something, what I want to do most is tear it to pieces. So it's really a compliment.
Yeah.
Sounds like me recently with Naruto. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like if I didn't care so much about this, I would have so much less to say.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
But I do care. But But yeah, I'd say watch it. Go support original horror movies in theaters if you can, if you're able. If not, streaming. But it's...
in defiance of Oz Perkins, I will be seeing at least Pearl. Because Katie saw it. And... Huh?
Motherfucker.
I need to see the whole trilogy. I've been trying to make arrangements with my girlfriend to watch because my girlfriend was like, Maxine looks so good. And I was like, baby girl, we are late. We are late.
Yeah.
We were 2 movies late.
But you could go watch it without knowing.
Yeah, as far as I understand, you don't have to watch any of the other movies to understand the one you're watching. I could be wrong.
So they're like a family of films rather than a series.
No, they're very disconnected, but yeah.
Again, I haven't seen the movie, but from what I understand of Maxine, I know part of the pushback on Maxine has been that I think people thought that this was going to be a traditional trilogy, and it's not.
Yeah, which is so funny because I expected it to not be, and then I was rewarded with my expectations.
It just goes to show you how dangerous expectations can be, and how sometimes a blind reaction can be best.
Yeah,
I tried to go into movies without watching any marketing because I find that when I either go in knowing absolutely nothing or knowing exactly what the movie is doing in advance, I have the best time. If I start to have preconceived notions because of the marketing and then I go in, I normally get annoyed. So I'd rather know nothing or everything.
Yeah. I'd say that X is a movie that exists. That's kind of all you need to know to watch Maxine. Is that a horror movie happened to this girl at one point.
Right. It's her second go around.
Oh, that's fun.
It's not even. I can't even really call Maxine really a horror movie.
Right.
It's very much an 80s noir grunge thriller.
Yeah, I heard it was like Brian De Palma, like very, very grimy. Very
It's not really a horror movie, which is people
that was the other thing people were complaining about.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the trailers were very like, I don't know the creatures of the night, and she's like, yeah, I'm Maxine, bitch. Like, it's not really a horror movie trailer, but I understand. I understand.
No, my understanding was that it would be more a horror movie in the people are about to get their shit rocked way.
Yeah.
Rather than the you're about to think about this for the next 10 years way.
There is murder. People do die.
Scary.
I know. It's a lot. All right, now I have to put Maxine back in the thumbnail again. God damn it.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Speaking of Neon, though, Neon is the distributor. Are they the production company or just distributor of Longlegs? I'm
not sure.
Yeah, they are also. They are a distributor.
They're kind of like the baby brother to A24 in a way.
They seem to be on the up and up because they have Cuckoo coming out soon, don't they? I'm very excited for that.
I'm so hyped for Cuckoo. Let's talk about Cuckoo for a minute, actually, because that looks so good.
So excited.
This is our third Dan Stevens film this year, folks. We're winning.
He's on a roll.
We're fucking winning. I love that guy.
What were the 2 others? Because I might have to go watch them.
He was in that vampire ballerina movie Abigail.
Oh,
which is a fun time. It also has Giancarlo Esposito in it, who was also in Maxine. And he was in Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, where he plays a kaiju doctor.
Of course.
His entrance into the movie, top 10 moments of the year, honestly.
At some point I will have to watch The New Empire.
It's great.
Yeah, I'm willing to give it a chance. Would you say it's better than Godzilla X Kong?
I think
versus Kong, whatever. Yeah.
It's better than Godzilla versus Kong, and it's better than King of Monsters.
Oh, okay. I'll definitely give it a shot then.
Also, watch Monarch, obviously.
Well, I'll see.
Grace, did you know that there is a these American Godzilla King Kong movies that happen?
Yeah, I'm aware that they happen.
Do you know that there's also a TV show that ties them all together?
I was not aware of that.
And that it stars, oh my god, I'm blanking on the names now. That's so awful. Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell, his son. And they play the same character, but one's in the 40s and one's in present day.
Dang it. I hate that shit. That's the shit I really like. I like when series do fucky shit with time. Damn it.
And there's like one specific cut where it cuts from like the past to the future, and it's like the perfect match cut where you're like, wow, that's the exact same face structure.
That is, my girlfriend's a real completionist about movies and really likes going through things in the air quotes correct order. And recently we've been considering
correct here meaning chronological.
Probably by release date chronological.
Good. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
That's noble.
That's better than
Which I do respect quite a lot, but it is like a lot of shit to watch, and we're not very good at watching things. We have to go quite a ways out of our way to commit to watching something. I finally saw Pacific Rim for the first time in my life last week.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Very fun.
Stop there.
So
yeah, stop there,
bad?
please.
That bad?
Yeah.
Stop there.
I had one more thing to troll with because Sal, you've been talking about Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan seems to be kind of the new Mick Garris. He's the guy who is trusted with all the Stephen King properties. I think we could agree on that.
Yeah, no, Stephen King just gives Mike whatever he wants, basically, which is kind of awesome.
Well, the irony is that Oz Perkins is doing The Monkey, which is coming out in February, which is a Stephen King adaptation. So
oh, wow.
Seems like he's in competition with Mike Flanagan.
Not at all.
I can't wait for that interview
0%.
where he's like, I haven't watched Mike Flanagan's work. His Dark Tower series sucks.
All I'm going to say is if you are a horror filmmaker in 2020s and you're not watching anything Mike Flanagan, hang up your hat and go home. I think the fryer's waiting for you back at the McDonald's, buddy.
So I mean this respectfully, but I don't think Mike Flanagan's gonna fuck you.
Why not? Why not?
No,
Draco's
top
father.
top three Mike Flanagan works right now, so that anyone who needs to do their homework knows what to do.
Okay, so number 1, Midnight Mass. Number 2, Haunting of Hill House, and then number 3, I would say Doctor Sleep.
Respectable.
I've seen 2 of those.
Number 4 is Fall of the House of Usher.
I need to see that too.
That's really good. They're all good. I've even watched Absentia, his like indie film before he broke out, and that's really good too.
Ooh.
I do think that we should all try to go back to directors' earlier indie films because there's a lot of gold. There's a lot of gold there.
Yeah, Absentia was a lot of fun because I'm like a Mike Flanagan slut. I've met the guy, and he's phenomenal. And I think what's so funny about Absentia is like it's rough. It's not. I mean, it's shot on like shitty 2011 digital. It's like in probably like his house in LA, and the house. It's like a townhouse really, but even though it's like kind of low, it's very low budget. It's still a Mike Flanagan movie. Like the shots are great, the story is great, the characters are great, the atmosphere is fantastic. Like even though it's like so bare bones, it's like it's still him. Like you could still like. You still see the artifacts of what he will then get to do on a bigger scale with more skill and more money and more talent. It's honestly amazing to watch that.
I'm in. I'm trying to watch as many independent films as I can.
Yeah, I don't think Mike Flanagan's missed, but also it's. I haven't seen his. According to IMDb. There's like 3 student films he did back in like 2001.
Yes.
Which I've not watched those.
Well, student
you probably
films.
can't get them.
You can try. I think the only one that he did that, again, I think this is not his fault. It's completely the material, but Gerald's Game, that that turn that it takes, I still can't get over that, how much I didn't like that.
Oh, I love it.
But that's not him. That's Stephen King. So
I think Mike's like one of the few people who can really take a Stephen King ending and try to salvage it as best he can.
See, ironically, I liked the ending of the book Doctor Sleep more than his ending of Doctor Sleep, but that's just personal.
Yeah, and I haven't read the book,
preference.
so I can't attest.
Yeah,
but the movie did a fantastic job of like marrying the book and the Kubrick film.
Yeah.
The spinning plates that Mike had to spin and keep from not falling is impressive. He disagrees.
No, I don't disagree. I just think that the Kubrick stuff at the end becomes a little nostalgia fan servicey, but I appreciate the his love of the material and trying to do justice to everything.
But to be fair, it does do the Blade Runner 2049 thing where we wait a long time to get there.
No, yeah, I mean like he does a good job with I don't mean like the initial getting there. Like the initial getting there is great. I just mean like the resolution bit.
Right. Okay.
Is what I'm referring
Fair enough.
No, the whole him going back to the recreated set and the music and everything, that's brilliant. He did a great job with that.
Yeah, when that blom hits, you're like, oh my god, we're back, baby.
It was attractive for sure.
Speaking of Mike Flanagan, he's executive producing a new movie at Neon. Directed. So the film is called Shelby Oaks. Have you heard of this?
No.
And the director is YouTube's own Chris Stuckman.
Oh, God. Shit. Sorry, but if he's producing it, he must see some value, and maybe Chris Stuckman is a better filmmaker than he is a critic. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean,
maybe that's the trick, is you actually have to be a bad critic, because that means you can actually make better films.
That's the thing. But it is nice that like that, you know, I like when YouTubers get a chance to like actually show that they're more than just like a YouTuber.
100%. I agree. Nice.
So it's a fun experiment. We'll see what happens.
It is intriguing.
I hope it's good.
Agreed.
For everyone's sake, because we don't need more bad stuff out there.
Yeah, seriously.
But hey, I mean, Neon's taking chances. It's interesting.
I think honestly, I'm feeling a little bit more positive about the future. I think that I think people are tired and they want daring, they want new, and I think that hopefully we're entering that phase more solidly. Yeah,
but I just watch like old stuff. I don't watch contemporary horror.
I mean, that's fair. There's so much good cinema from the past, but at the same time, you know, doesn't mean you have to draw lines, you know. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and you shouldn't.
Well,
it's just such a hater move. Like, I don't give a shit about any of my peers. Whatever they're making, it's probably fine. I don't really care though. Dude, those are inside thoughts. That's what you talk about in the privacy of your home, not in a fucking interview that's going to be written down and everyone's going to read it and know that you're being kind of.
See, ironically, I would have respected him more if he just said, I don't watch any contemporary cinema. But it's specifically that he says, I don't watch contemporary horror, which he's participating in. I think that's what makes it, like, if he had just said, like, you know, honestly, like, cinema after 2000 doesn't appeal to me, I'd be like, yeah, that's fair. Like, that's an artistic line to draw. But to say, like, just horror movies, aka my competition, is very weird. That's what made it weird for me.
Well, it's weird that he elaborates on it so much. Like, because
Yes.
I think it's even fine to be like, I don't watch a lot of contemporary horror.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then like pivot to like his actual inspirations that he's thinking about. But instead he goes on like, well, I don't know, contemporary horror, this specific movie, that specific movie, this other specific movie. They just, you know, it's just not my style, which is fine. They're probably good, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
Like he could have said, you know, I mean, to be fair, he talked about it in the interview, I'm sure, but he could have said, yeah, you know, like, I'm inspired more by these horror movies than the contemporary stuff. And that's a way to like frame it to be more positive. Right. But yeah, he chose violence. He, you know.
Man, what did X do to him?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of X, but it would never be something that I would get weird about. Yeah.
I'm gonna rub chilies into your eyes.
I think it's the weakest of the three for me. But that's also because I just don't like slasher movies very much.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to discuss because I do think like it did some. I honestly feel like it was some of the ending of the setup for it was good. The premise is good for X. But the ending just kind of leaves me cold. But Pearl seems really intriguing based on when it is set.
Yeah, and it's Technicolor, baby.
Right, exactly.
That's good.
I'll get me and my girlfriend to watch the trilogy, and then we can talk about it.
Oh my god,
we can. Yeah, I'll make sure I watch the other two by the time you do that. So.
Yes.
Here's a thought: we could also discuss another more recent slasher trilogy, the Netflix Fear Street trilogy.
Yo, those were so good.
I love them so much. Oh my god,
they were amazing.
I heard something about this, but I am unfamiliar.
Yeah, Netflix dropped like 3 movies that were based on like R.L. Stein's Fear Street books, and they're all like set in a different like time period. What were they again? Oh, because the third one's crazy, or the second one's crazy.
Okay, so the first one is set in the 90s, the second one is set in the 70s, and the third one is set in the late 1700s. Okay, and they are so good. So good. I have some dough proofing on the counter that I have to go finish so that I don't fuck up my girlfriend's recipe.
Yeah. Wrapping up.
Otherwise, I would talk for way too long about Fear Street because I love Fear Street so much. I'm getting like jitters. I'm getting excited, or it's the monster.
It's the monster.
The beast inside. But yeah, I would love to talk about Fear Street and Maxine, and we can have another slasher day.
Yeah, I love horror. I'm a whore for horror. You know what I'm saying?
Put in the WH in horror.
You know? But thank you all so much for listening to the Shuttlecast, and thank you, Grace, for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here again.
Yeah, for subbing in for Nathaniel, and of course, like you're always welcome if Nathan is here.
Yeah,
I have the table ready in my Streamlabs for any combination of guests. It's a little mix and match situation. Any? I like the one that's just I had you and me ready to go until Grace decided to, help us out.
I was so mad about Longlegs. I needed to talk about it.
You were so mad that you were like, I'm gonna jump on a voice call today.
That's the best kind of mad to be.
It's beautiful.
I agree.
Thank you all. Good. I have to go figure out what to make for dinner.
Same.
But see y'all next week, and this Saturday, don't forget, 8 a.m. Saturday morning, new episode of an actual review thing. It's a retrospective this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
What could it be?
Well, it's gonna be long.
Actually, it's a little short. It's actually not that long.
Oh, I need to double check.
Which is funny because it's like 6 movies we talk about.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you all. Bye-bye.